What's going on, y'all? We're back for another book review on the channel. And today we have a new author for me that I feel is a pretty mainstream name in horror circles nowadays, and that is Mr. Nick Cutter and his novel, The Deep. So, like I said, I feel like in January, reading all that heavy fantasy, I missed that normal dosage that I get of horror. So in February, and I had to check some horror out, and I'm always excited to try a new author and see what they have to offer. But so let's dive right into the plot. So there is a disease that is spreading. It's a global pandemic. They call it the Gits, and it kind of reminds you of dementia, except very, very much beyond that. Because you start out by forgetting names and places and dates and stuff like that. And then you just completely forget people. And then you forget things like how to drive or like what the concept of a leaf is. And the final stage is you're basically a shell and you forget how to make your heart beat involuntarily and these things. So it eventually is resulting in death, and there is no known cure, or at least there wasn't. So scientists have discovered a cure-all, they believe, at the bottom of the ocean they call ambrosia. And like I said, in order to study it, they built a research station 8 miles below the surface of the ocean. And now they have gone incommunicado. They can't be contacted, can't be reached. And after a pretty dark discovery is made out near the base on the surface, they send in the head scientist's brother, Luke, to kind of go down and communicate, see what is going on down at the base. So Luke is heading 8 miles underwater, and let's just say humans were never meant to be at that depth. So, like I said, there's this book has a lot of those quintessential thalassophobic fears. And for me, I think I would consider myself thalassophobic. The deep water is something that was I don't know. It's just something that's always freaked me out. So that was something that really piqued my interest in this book. And when it comes to those I feel like thalassophobic fears of being stranded out in the open water like that, of being deeply submerged and isolated at that depth, those claustrophobic feelings of being suctioned into this little space of a research base, and that kind of the fear of what lurks in the dark beyond the base or in the dark spaces of the base, and kind of the questioning your sanity just because you're in such a bizarre situation. Though all those type of fears, this book excels at. And when I was reading it, anytime that type of fear was targeted, I thought the book shined and did exactly what I was hoping that it would do. Now, it does touch on some other types of fear, especially a lot of body horror and a lot of insect-based fears, which in my opinion was one of the book's big weak points. And I don't know if it's one of those things where I'm not afraid of those types of horrors, that it just felt like added fear to me. It was horror for the sake of horror being added. And I feel like it missed the mark. But when you focused in on those thalassophobic fears, boom, it was hitting the mark every time. And it really kind of created that sense of dread and anxiety while I was reading it. So, like I said, our cast of characters, although it is small, I feel like they all serve their purpose. You have Luke, our protagonist. You have his brother, the lead scientist, Clayton. You have Dr. Toy, who is another researcher on the ship, or the vessel research center, whatever you want to call it. And then you have Alice, along with Little B, who is a dog. And Alice is the transporter. She takes stuff down. She takes people down to the base and stuff like that. And like I said earlier, Little B, who is a research specimen on the vessel. Like I said, there's some other characters and people that are mentioned in it, but for the sake of kind of preserving a lot of the big mysteries and intrigues and like revelations in the book, I'm not going to talk about the other characters, but that's our central cast that is interacted with during the narrative. So those people, I feel like they serve their point in the plot. They were there to progress the story and to kind of unwind the mystery. I wouldn't say they were great characterizations, but I personally didn't have any complaints with them. I feel like they served their purpose. They did exactly what they were there to do. They had the necessary depth to keep me caring about the story. And overall, I thought they did their job, and that's what they were there to do. There is one character that I hated, and I think we were supposed to hate him, and that is Clayton, our protagonist Luke's brother. He's a dick. There's no better word to describe it. He's just a genuinely dehumanized, not good person. And I know like the story justifies why he acts like this and justifies his behavior, but I still didn't like him. So that was just I hated any time he was on the page. So that was like, ugh. And I was impressed that he made me care and sympathize with Luke as much as I did. I really didn't expect to care about a character in a horror novel as much as I did, because Luke had a awful life. Because growing up, he grew up in a abusive home. He experienced a horrible tragedy that kind of created this big rift and dissolved his marriage. And then going to hunt down his brother, he's going 8 miles beneath the ocean into this not truly nightmarish situation. So he was someone who was already on the brink of that, like losing his sanity, and you get to see what it's like to be on the verge of Luke's sanity throughout the novel, and I thought that was great. You really get to see like how like horrible of a life he lived up until this, and then how that kind of impacts him when he's that deep. I thought Cutter did a great job when he was writing that, because it really feels like you're just like, dang, like this guy just cannot catch a break. But all in all, I would say that this is definitely a book worth checking out. And although it has its weak parts with what felt like some unnecessary added horror, or one specific part that I thought overstayed its welcome when our protagonist is reading another character's journal, then other than that, those things did not keep me from enjoying the story and enjoying the book. All in all, it's definitely something I think you should check out if you're looking for that thalassophobic fear and just seeing what those kind of claustrophobic and lurking dark feelings have to offer. And he's definitely an author that I want to be checking out more of, because I know he has 2 other books that I've heard tons about. This is probably the book I've heard the littlest about, but it's just one that interested me just because of that whole deep water situation. I just really like the premise, but I'll definitely be checking out his book The Troop and Little Heaven pretty soon, because I feel like he's kind of giving me that kick I needed to get back into horror. So that's all I got for y'all today. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you've read any of his other books, or if you got any other horror suggestions, because like I said, this book's definitely kind of got me on that track again. So let me know what you guys think down below, and until next time, stay reading, y'all.